Hello and welcome to the 2020 Bendigo Invention and Innovation Festival. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting and pay my respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging. And thank you for joining us virtually to celebrate the festival's 10th anniversary. Well, if you've not had your lunch yet, then you're sure to get hungry watching our next guest. Tobie Puttock is a celebrity chef, author, app developer, as well as a product and food manufacturer. He's travelled the world as a chef and is best known for his collaboration with Jamie Oliver. Together they set up 15, a restaurant in London to help underprivileged youth. Tobie went on to establish another 15 in Melbourne as a social enterprise. Today, to celebrate Bendigo's status as Australia's first and only UNESCO-designated city of gastronomy, Tobie will present a Bendigo Inspired Masterclass where our locally produced offerings of walnuts, pears, honey, kale and olive oil are the heroes of his dishes created today. Tobie has filmed this masterclass from home with help from his wife Georgia. Enjoy your virtual lunch.
Hey guys, Tobie Puttock here. I'm a chef and I'm coming to you from my house for Bendigo Gastronomy Day, and I've got all this beautiful produce right here. Now we're going to hop straight in because we don't have a lot of time to do a lot of food. Here I have a beautiful Le Creuset pot in Marseille Blue, and I've got a combination of water and wine in there. And to get started, we're going to make a little bit of a poaching liquid. So I've got some Australian saffron here, which is more expensive, as we know, in weight than gold. So let's go easy, Tiger, not too much. So just a little bit, but we want enough that it's actually going to colour the liquid and then colour the pears themselves. So what else can we get into there? Over on the board, I've got some cardamom pods, which is one of my favourite ingredients, and I'll just take the heel of a knife, give a little bash down just to release the actual seed inside there. Got a bit of a, see if we can do a few. You could do this in a mortar and pestle as well, I guess. And we'll get those in. There's about 7 or 8 there. And you can see that liquid starting to turn already. And then with a potato peeler, I'm going to take a couple of segments of orange zest off there, just to give that a beautiful floral flavour, along with the saffron. Will be really amazing. And then let's check this out. Zoom in on here, G. For those who are watching, I've got my beautiful wife Georgia Puttock. Everyone say hi, Georgia. From here, so we've got Collins honey, local honey, and do you know what? I just realised I couldn't move. That's awesome. Oh, we might have to, okay, I might have to come back to that in a sec. Okay. It's really tight. It's really tight. Right, let's get peeling some pears here. So you could do lots of things with these beautiful pears. You could roast them. I really like going this poached journey because you can do a lot of different things. It makes a really good dessert, but it's not so sweet that you can't have it with your cereal the next day, or muesli, whatever you guys have. Okay. Do you know what I most might need to get? I got a bit of a sore wrist. George, to open that honey.
I'm sure you can listen to that.
Okay, so I want to get these pears in first because they're going to take about 20 minutes. Now, if you want to do them quicker, you could obviously just cut them smaller. Not a problem, but I really like having them whole. I think they look amazing. And I'm going to leave the core in. We can cut that out after. So do you want to follow me in here? So we'll just pop them directly in. Already. And then while this is cooking, we can hop on to the next dish. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I saw somebody on Instagram. Instagram's a beautiful thing for influence to cook dishes, of a kale pasta recipe. And I sort of thought, oh, it's going to be like another pesto, but it wasn't at all. It was probably one of the most simple recipes I've ever seen in my life, but so delicious. And a really nice way of highlighting kale itself. And just takes literally seconds to make. Alright, now I'm going to do 5 of these pears because I'll have a 5-year-old walk through the door in a few hours saying, Dad, what's for afternoon tea? And guess what? She can have this with a little bit of Yogurt would be a nice, healthy, delicious snack. I do want to get those little bits of skin off the end. Okay. Now this is a recipe from, I'm going to say cookbook number 4, I think, for me, Chef Gets Healthy, which is a book the lady behind the lens actually very much worked on and was the influence for. So this is a dish that I came up with because we wanted to not go extreme healthy eating, but we wanted to eat a little bit healthier food. And so I had to come up with all these desserts that didn't involve an abundance of sugar, yet were still delicious, moreish, and really made you want to eat them. So we're almost there on this. So let's zoom in on that for a sec. You are all in a holding pattern watching Pears cook. Now, while that's happening, I have in my hand a piece of baking paper here, aka cartouche, which we're going to put in, basically just to hold all the steam in there and keep all the pears down while it's cooking. We can go back, I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got it. If there's anyone watching this, this is where we want to hear like people screaming with joy that I managed to open the jar.
Woo!
Okay, so now honey's our sweetener in here. So normally you're going to go in with sugar, maple syrup, brown rice malt syrup is a good option. But when you have beautiful local produce like this, why wouldn't you take a gnarly amount and straight in? And then we can use the heat of that liquor in there to melt the honey directly off. And you can probably see those pears are already starting to take on the saffron colour.
Oh, it smells amazing.
Yeah, it smells floral, right?
Yeah, the honey.
Yep, as soon as it hits there. Okay, now, that's for later. Let's put this down here. Now what I might do is, this recipe is pretty cool because what I have done in the past is actually make, I don't like to say like a crust, but I take nuts and I blend them down almost to a dust or coarse, however you like it. And then we'll take some of that honey out, some of the pear out as it's still wet, and just roll it in the nut so it gets a coating on there, which is really healthy too. So here I've got local walnuts from Bendigo. We'll pop them straight into this guy, or girl. We'll just give that a good blitz. That's probably it with this thing. Blitzes quickly. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. I'll come back to you so you can see. Now, you see this texture in here? Still, it's fine, but it's still, you know, it's not like dandruff. It's got still a nice consistency to it. And I'm not going to bother about wiping that out because we're going to go in with kale next. Right, now, we'll put that down the front. Here, I have some creme fraiche ready to go. I'm going to move this to the back burner. Always give it a quick touch to make sure it's not too hot. And we'll keep that ticking over. And we'll go in with this pasta water right here. Okay, keep this going. Now this next recipe is really cool. This kale here, I actually have washed already. It's been in the fridge a couple of days. Beautiful local kale from around the Bendigo area, I believe. I actually have my notes here. I have, what have we got? The walnuts have actually come from Boondaroo walnuts from Reddersdale. We have local olive oil here we'll be using to make our beautiful pasta we're about to make from Salute Olive Oil. And if I could just say, I cracked this bottle the other night and had a smell, and it is legitimately amazing olive oil. I got those kind of tones coming through from olive oils I used to smell when I was working around Italy and going over to Italy to buy olive oil and what have you. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of a top up. And we'll just crank the heat. Now, important thing with this is we want to get seasoned water. So get a good amount of salt into there. And then what I'm going to do is go straight through, and I want to remove the stalks off this kale. So just tear that off. And the stalks are great for other things like smoothies. You shouldn't throw them away. They're fibrous, they're really good for you. But just reserve them for another use. I do this all the time when I'm cooking stuff. I use for something, and then I've got little containers in the fridge with offcuts and things. And my daughter eats loads of broccoli, and she doesn't actually like the stalk that much. She likes the flowers. So I always put the stalk there, and once a week I end up having this kind of container of leftover veg, things like this in there, and I blitz it up and make like a dumpling filling, and then we have beautiful, really healthy vegetable dumplings once a week, which works beautifully. I'm going to get a little bit of this olive oil in here. And I'm going to do something I would have been horrified at when I was a bit younger, and that's brown garlic in the oil. I used to really think it was not a good thing to do in cooking, I guess because one of my first head chefs never did it. But now I realise there's lots of different ways to shake the cocktail. So, a couple of garlic cloves. We'll just grab that out. And I'm going to make one portion, so we only really need one. Now what I'll do is not really anything here, so let's give it a bit more of a smash. Then we'll pop that directly into there. I'll take that down to like a medium heat. And just cook that out until it gets almost quite bronze. Now do you reckon you can follow me around over here? Come over to this side. Now if you want to follow me over to the other stove, let's go. Follow the kale. Is it that light okay for you? Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that kale in. This is salted water, and I want to blanch it until that's just starting to wilt. Trusty tongs. And this is pretty cool here because basically we'll blanch the kale fairly quickly. We don't need to cook the you-know-what out of it. And then we'll pull it out with the tongs and then continue to cook the pasta in this same water. So any chlorophylls that come out of the kale can be utilised with the pasta. So I don't need to go much more than that. We've taken the kale stalk off, so it should break down pretty quickly. Now this is sort of a no-cook pasta sauce after, so I'm not going to pop this into a pot and cook it for ages and ages and ages. Okay, oil, brown garlic, kale, food processor, in we go. I almost want to brown that up just a little bit more too. Just for a moment or two or three. Okay, that's probably about it. Just be careful when you do this. Okay, then you dump the oil, everything into there. And then we stop that beeping by coming over with this pot. And I'm going to drop my pasta, which has got a 12-minute cook on there. I like it super al dente, so we'll go for about 8. Hey Siri, set me a timer for 8 minutes. Now.
8 minutes. Starting now.
This is pretty cool. So we've got the pasta water here, and then I'm going to put a couple of ladles of pasta water into there, and it's going to get really noisy in a sec. We basically want to puree this down to it's smooth, it's silky, it's liquidy, and that will be our kale sauce, and then we'll season it up a bit after. Okay, not much to say here now. Alright, let's have a quick look at this. Can you see these guys are starting to get quite yellow actually. It's building. But what will happen is, what I often do is once the pears are almost ready, I turn that liquid off and let them cool in the pears and keep them in the liquid to stop them from drying. And that liquid's got loads of flavour as well. It's awesome over your muesli. Awesome over, I was about to say your cats, but cats don't like it. Now let's have a look in here. Now, this is really a texture game here. So I don't know if you guys can see it in. This is thick kale goop right now. We want to moisten that right down. So I'm going to get it back in. and more water. I know it's going to want some salt, so I'm going to hit it with some salt right now too. Let's have a look now. I'm sure there's direct measurements of water to kale weight, but you know, this is easy. We're just making green puree. Okay, that's getting closer. But what I really want, I'm going to pull some out in the spoon so you guys can see. Look at that color, is amazing. I don't really want all those fibrous bits in there. I want it to be totally broken down and smooth. So I'm going to keep blitzing that, but I will have a little taste. Oh. Initially when I made this recipe, because kale can be a little bit bitter, I should say as well, I know you guys have different varieties of kale. You've got the Cavallonero, you've got the purple kale up there as well. I think there's a blackish kale as well. You can use any of those for this. I like this one the most because I'm cooking for you guys. You can't taste it. I want it to look nice on camera and it'll be nice and vibrant. So when I initially made this, I thought we're going to have to hit it with heaps of lemon to counteract that bitterness, but it just doesn't need it. It's like garlic, bit of parmesan, salt, olive oil, and kale does the job.
And the bitterer, the green, the more nutritious.
There you go, you guys can have that one for free. Now, we're almost done. All there is to all this, super easy. It does take a bit of blitzing. It's there we go, we're getting closer. I'm actually going to go and blitz it even further. I want it even smoother than that. I find what can happen if you don't blitz it enough is sometimes if the pasta sits for a moment, it can split. So we have put water into there and then you can get the fibrous parts of the kale and all that water kind of leaking down. So we want a really smooth consistency. Getting a facial all at once here. Okay. Can't see a thing. Okay, let's jump this off. And I have to do this so I can see something. Right, time to strain out the pasta. So I'm going to strain this out, pop it back into this pot, try and retain a little bit of pasta water at the same time. Just that much. And then I'm going to pop it back onto the heat, but like a really, really low heat. And then we can go in with green sauce. That's probably enough. Doesn't matter, look at that straight away. So I'm going to cook this a little bit in the sauce. Two key ingredients we get into here. Pepper, this is where the magic happens. This is where good cooks make things taste good. A little bit of dry chili, which I think is kind of a must-do with this dish. And I had a little taste before, so I'm going to hit it with just a little more salt. And then I'm going to throw some cheese at it. I'm going to go in with some Parmesan cheese. I know you guys have got some great local cheeses around there. I think Parmesan or Pecorino work best with this. You just kind of want to, you don't want to boil this. Just keep it ticking over there and fold it through. Let's crank it up just a little bit. How's it looking to you, G?
Looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to eating it.
Yeah, you'll get to. Pears are ticking over nicely. Now this pasta it's not the spag bog you make for the whole week. This kale sauce will go brown after a couple of days. It'll go brown if you heat it too much as well. So just treat it with love, be really gentle. I'm just going to crank that just a little bit, see if we can evaporate a little bit of that moisture out. I think this will be my serving vessel. Lovely salt and pepper plate. Might even go a little bit more cheese in there because I'm feeling cheesy. Just a little bit. I always like putting the cheese in at this stage, especially with liquid, because it basically is going to melt right down into the sauce. You shouldn't get those kind of stringy bits of cheese in there. plate time. So I'm going to use a slotted spoon. A bit of that sauce on the bottom. Oh man, straight away, look at that. After 26 years, still messing up plates.
2004?
Yeah. This is I normally say healthy and pasta in the same sentence, but you know, there's a good amount of kale in here. It's definitely going to be better for you than that super cheesy risotto. Now, let's finish up here. A little bit of cheese. We don't need much because we've got 40 kilos in there already. A little bit more of this. Yeah, of chili, you know. Thanks for saying. And then a little bit of olive oil. Look at that. I'm happy. Right, should we take that over near the sun? So, does it look nice there?
This is yummy.
Great. So let's put that to the side and we can talk pears. Come and have a peek inside. Look at that colour. And the colour only gets more vibrant the longer you cook it. That's pretty cool.
It smells beautiful.
Yeah, they do. They smell amazing. So to plate this, I would go, let's use a spoon, something a bit gentler. We're going to take our walnuts here. And let's just dip that straight in. Should we just go the half and be a bit controversial?
Yeah.
Full dip.
Full dip.
Full dip. All right, in that case, we can just sprinkle. Look at, there's nothing bad here. What a beautiful dessert. It's got all the honey in there.
Walnuts are brain food.
Walnuts are super brain food. Get a little bit of that over the top. It'd be rude not to get some of that syrup on the bottom. Let me find one of the world's smallest whisks, so we'll take a bit of this. Now this isn't syrup. This is like a poaching liquor right now. A good trick is to actually get the pears out and reduce that syrup down more. We can put a little film of that on the bottom. Don't need to go too crazy with it. And we need cream. Ice cream, custard, whatever you want.
Creme fraiche, is this one?
This one is creme fraiche, and I'm going to go just a good whack of that right there. Okay, that is it. Thank you for letting me come to Bendigo via my house at home. It's been a pleasure cooking for you guys. Get behind this gastronomy day. I hope you guys see awesome stuff, and I'll see you around.
You're watching the 2020 Bendigo Invention and Innovation Festival, and we hope you've enjoyed Tobie Puttock's masterclass and his culinary take on using delicious, fresh produce grown right here in the Bendigo's gastronomy region. Our thanks to Tobie Puttock and his wife Georgia, and also our producers, Collins Honey, Huntley Organics, Bundaroo Walnuts, Salute Oliva, and Pollard's Harcourt Orchards, who provided the delicious ingredients. And of course, register for more free sessions like this one on the 2020 BIIF app through your browser or your mobile device. Further details can also be found at biif.com.au. And remember to ask questions, and of course, if you've learnt something today, share your thoughts on social media using the hashtag 2020BIIF. Thank you and goodbye.